Here's a lockpick. It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you.
Looting through the rubble, leaving cities war-torn, still incurring more scorn. Ragged and I'm forlorn, trying to unlock this. Open with my lockpicks, punching with my second hand every time the clock ticks.
All right, there you go.
Hello everyone out there, just give us a moment. I just want to see if the audio is working. Yes, the audio works, yay. And also the Incent reward is about to go off in about, hold on, tick two more, in 10 seconds. So if you want to get that cryptocurrency reward, go get it right there. It's all for you, all for free. So, I get everything in order here. Also to note, whether it's for my benefit or not, I don't have the counter to show how many people are actually watching this. So if you are watching this, please let me know in chat. In fact, if you have any questions about what's going on today's show, please definitely let me know in chat. Although I will say I do like my lurkers, so I will point out that it's okay if you lurk. As I always say, keep lurking and keep learning. But again, if you have any questions about like what's going on or what the heck I'm talking about or anything, just let me know in chat. I just want to get actually one little thing set up here so that I can start doing all of this smexiness that's going on. Hello, Antonine and G.I. Jack and Disadilmona. Oh, cool, from Miami. Huh? Okay, so it's funny because I have a friend that lives in Orlando, and I love how she's talking about how like it's like, oh my God, this is absolutely terrible. It's like, I think because I asked her, I said, what's the temperature like that? And apparently it's, oh, now the numbers kicked in, and she says that it's like in the high like what is it? She said it's like in the high 40s, low 50s, and I'm like, that's that's spring. That's spring temperatures. It's been like 30 degrees and windy here. So let me know if that's the case in Miami, where it's cold, but it's like Miami cold, not New Jersey cold, because that's a whole level of cold. Because we're closer to the ninth circle of hell, which is a frozen lake, not to be confused with Maine. So. Welcome to the stream here. Just wanted to 78. See, that's why I wish it was 78 right now. I could have the air conditioner running, especially with how warm this gets. Anyhow, welcome to the show. My name is Side Pocket. I'm one of the two co-founders of DEF CON 201. DEF CON 201 is a computer hacker group that is based in Jersey City, New Jersey. We normally meet, like it says on the flyer, which we do, third Friday of the month. In fact, our next meetup, it's going to be our last not going to be the last thing we broadcast, but our last official meetup for this year. We're obviously going to keep doing stuff next year, and we will always broadcast when we can. We'll be on December 18th. Hopefully in the next like 2 or 3 days, we should have announcements about that, as well as a bunch of other things, because we're going to be streaming a lot this month. But yeah, because of COVID and police, Gestapos, and random people called Dave. We've been live streaming these to make sure no one gets sick and that no one just throws a brick at our face, like what we're used to at DEF CON. So that's what we've been doing here. If you want to know more about us and like how to get involved and everything, you go down to our URL, which is, I actually have to change this because we're currently having a weird thing with the certificate, but if you go to defcon201.org, you will find that there. We're also all over on social media. We usually put up a link tree, which I might type in later, but you can find us on Twitter at defcon201nj and also on Instagram at just defcon. We're also on the hostux.social meetup and a bunch of other things. And if you are watching on Twitch, DLive, YouTube, and I don't know if the Facebook's actually working because Facebook is being Puritan and I'm not allowed to access it for 7 days, which is more like a vacation for me. But if you're on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube, or you're watching YouTube through Invidious on Tor, in which you are super elite, hi everyone out there. If you click to share, like, follow, subscribe during any of this, I get notifications for those. I also get notifications of what we're going to be doing all month. This month will also be our last charity run, and we're going to try, our starting bid is 300, but we're trying to raise as much money as possible for Child's Play. Not the movie with the Chucky doll and the stabby knife. Child's Play, basically um, they use money and their well, mainly their money, but that's donated, but also their connections to get fun video games, VR stuff, and rehabilitative equipment for people with terminal illnesses, people with disabilities, and also domestic abuse centers. So we thought that would be a great way to Christmas celebrate. If you have like 20, 50, $1 billion to donate, that would be amazing. But $10, $5, $3, $1, any amount. It's handled through Tiltify. If you're on Twitch, you can scroll below and click the little widget to donate. If you're on D Live or YouTube, I got you, fam. So as you look at my giant clown here, I'm going to type in Child's Play charity donation, and I'm going to put the link in the chat. Let's figure this thing out. Still an old man here when it comes to all of these fancy live streams. Yeah, I just posted the link in chat. I get notifications for those. We currently read them out loud. So far, we had an anonymous donation of $10, and it's going to cycle through. But I also know that someone donated $5, which means we are at a starting point from N Commander's stream, $15. And let's see. And I thought we made it pretty good last time. We got like half to where we need to go, which means we raised $200 for domestic abuse uh, and sexual abuse centers. This time we're trying to get cool tech products to kids. So yeah, Cemex donated $5. So if you do that, I see the notifications for those. Also, when you like, share, and subscribe us on Twitch, D Live, or YouTube, I also see those as well. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this show as I rehydrate. Well, let's get to the core of the pin tumbler of the show, I should say. This is, as it's hard to see, because I'm going to make a better version of the logo. Let me put my skin up so you can see it. It's called the Master of Unlocking. I'm not particularly known as a master. I just like Resident Evil, and so Jill Valentine as the Master of Unlocking is great. Hello, CreatureNetX. Thank you for coming on the stream. I'm just doing the opening spiel. This is the show where we explore locks and all the mechanisms they use and how they work and the security flaws that are in their design, and then how to abuse those security flaws in order to check to see how well these scrutinize against security tests. Basically, if you're used to digital security, this is the physical side of physical security. I also want to put out there that while this is not a Tool sponsored stream, I am a Tool member. That stands for the Open Organization of Lockpickers, or TOOOO. It's Tool with three O's, TOOOL.US, which is the United States division. You can go there and check them out. If you want later on, I can also type that out in chat. So even though I'm a member, this stream's not sponsored by them. I'm also any lockpicks you see. While I do have companies that I prefer, no one's sponsoring this. So you get, or any lock companies for their locks are sponsoring this so far. So basically, I get to give you an honest rundown of what I think about a bunch of things. Even though this is not Tool sponsored, the final thing before we get into today's topic is I want to go over the two rules that Tool has, which I think are actually good universal rules for lockpicking in general. And the two cardinal rules that we subscribe to on this show is one, do not pick locks that you rely on. You have no idea how many times I've had people, after I teach this, even when I warn them about this, they have an instant instinct to want to pick the lock on their front door, or the lock that they use to hold their stuff in the gym, or their airport, or the locks that they put on their luggage and things like that. And this becomes a problem for multiple reasons. One, as you pick a lock, you will eventually wear that lock out, make it more susceptible to being picked and bypassed. You can also break the lock by doing these techniques, and because these are precision tools, you will inevitably, and you've seen me do this on the show, even though I don't do it as common as other lock people in lock sport and physical security, you will eventually break those picks. So just to note that all of the locks that you see on this show are specifically designed and kept for education of myself in how to pick locks, as well as education to how to teach others to pick locks. In fact, that's why I started this show, because I normally bring, it's in the other room, but I normally have a ginormous lock-picking training kit that I bring, and I brought them to Tool meetings and our DEF CON 201 meetings. Again, that's December 18th if you want to see what the future meeting's going to be this month. And it was collecting dust during COVID, so I'm like, I should just make a live streaming show about picking locks. Like, I'm no lock-picking lawyer or lock noob or Bosnian Bill, but it's like, yeah, I get to live stream and teach this in real time. So that, and I've been told I'm good at teaching, so I love teaching, and that's what I'm here for. So again, don't pick locks that you rely on as I quickly eat this ice cube. Mm. Oh, that's some good rapper from the 90s, as you can tell by my crazy sideshow bob hair. The second thing is do not pick locks that you don't own. If you learn any of the stuff today or any of the previous videos or future videos and you go out and you're like, hey, I saw that, that's a master lock number 5. I have the tools for that. I'm going to go. Don't do that because you don't own that lock. That lock's probably on someone else's property, and it's probably private property, or it's owned by the municipality that you're in, which means you're trespassing. And there's probably a good reason why, even if the lock is a terrible lock, that someone wanted to put a lock on there. So just, again, don't pick locks that you rely on and don't pick locks that you don't own. I own all the locks that you see here and all the episodes of Master of Unlocking, and when I actually go to physical events when everyone stops coughing to death. And also my heart goes out to anyone who is currently suffering from COVID or had someone who died from COVID-19. This is where I get demonetized, like we're getting monetized for this. We're doing this for free because we hate corporations. But also 10 seconds, you get an instant reward, so peep that. But all the locks that you see here are locks that I own, that I allow people to test lock picking on because I don't use these locks to secure anything. They only exist for the sole purpose of teaching physical security, lock picking, and lock sport. Hey, 936 Ambrose 604. I believe you donated to our last charity thing, if I remember correctly. Yes, so thank you so much. We're doing one for that. We're doing one more. I know you probably broke the bank on that, but we're doing another charity run. The link is in the chat. Anytime it goes off screen, I'll post that link again. Basically, we're trying to get kids really cool toys and rehabilitation technology. For kids who are suffering from illness or who have cancer or who have disabilities, and also their adult parents and kids who might be suffering from domestic abuse. Child play is really amazing. So that's what we're doing here. So without further ado, now that you know there's 2 rules, again, do not pick locks that you rely on and do not pick locks that you don't own. I'm going to tilt the camera down, although at some point we're going to tilt it back up, and we're going to get into this episode. It's probably going to be one of the shortest episodes I've ever done, but I thought this was neat. So now we will go into hand mode. Here we go. Ah! So that's the table. Scooch this guy a little bit more forward. There we go. That's a good view of my crotch. So what's going on today besides this arrangement? You'll kind of notice that I have a lot of turning tools or tension wrenches over here. And unlike where I usually have all the tools out, I have these very specific tools. And I have this odd guy here. I don't know what gender it is, but I think it told me once it identified as male, so I'm going to say guy. That you probably seen on a previous episode. I believe 2 episodes ago you might have seen this guy. Someone said, word, I ordered that disc detainer from Sparrows. Yes, they actually went on sale 2 days ago. Thankfully, again, we already had one. We kind of showed that off. I think you'll enjoy it. Again, the disc detainer, it's a certain type of lock pick that is designed for picking disc detainers. If you go back to our previous episodes, you can see us covering it. We're going to eventually do an entire episode that's nothing about but disc detainer lock picks. I've been building one up. I just need 1 or 2 locks that are like decent actual disc detainers that are padlocks. But I just want to know out there that if you did buy the Sparrows, as I said in the review, ooh, that was a burp. The pick head that's used to actually turn the disc is really thin because it's designed for high security locks. So if you're using a basic like 7 to 8 discs and there's no false gates, I'm gonna go through this water a lot. I probably wish this was vodka. But there's no false gates, and you only need to move like 2 or 3 of those. They're usually a thicker disc, and you can actually accidentally slip the turning head between the discs, which makes it more difficult to pick. So ironically, I'd recommend, and Rook Knight has a great video about this. I'm eventually going to do this on air, of how you can take something from a hardware store and make them into heads that are designed for lower security disc detainers. So yes, I got this. They were sponsoring some sort of privacy thing, and I went there, and I did. Apparently, people didn't know they were giving these out, so I got to take one home, and you can tell I'm a slob because of how dirty it is. So yeah, there we go. So anyhow, but what are we doing today? Because I said there's a certain amount of tools out here. Like what's this? Well, maybe I should do a quick, and I promise I'll stop blabbing. A little bit of backstory. It is good shit. Water's always good shit. except for actual shit and Tide Pods. Do not eat Tide Pods. When we say retro, we don't mean that. But so as I said, one of the previous episodes, we were going to do an entire episode about bypassing. And in fact, we are going to do an entire episode about bypasses. That will literally be the last episode of this year. I originally had a different idea for the last episode of this year for Master of Unlocking, but that will be on the 20th. And then the original thing I was going to do for New Year's, I have moved to to January 3rd, 2 days after New Year's. And the reason for the delay is because apparently in the same way I didn't realize there were so many vegans buying holiday vegan roasts on Thanksgiving. I apparently underestimated how many people bought lockpicking stuff through the mail and at various lockpicking tool manufacturers, because everything got delayed. And the hilariousness is all the bypass stuff that I got for this episode and for future teaching stuff is coming tomorrow. Because it's a Sunday, it's at the post office, but because the post office is a government facility and thus it's closed, tomorrow, after the episode I'm supposed to be on, that's when I get it. So I apologize for that, but that episode is coming. It will be on the 20th. That's going to be the last episode for this year, and then we move into New Year, which will hopefully be a lot better than 2020. So what are we going to cover today? Well, thankfully, Cyricel, who I don't know if he lives with us or puts up with us. It's probably a combination of both. But he's a computer hacker at DEF CON 201. He's one of our members, and he's super helpful all the time, like 24/7, which the guy needs a vacation. Like, please get him one. But he had an idea, and I'm going to do this on air. So if you probably remember, and I actually have this up in the corner, on a previous episode, we covered this bastard. This is the mysterious black box. Spoiler alert, there's nothing in the mysterious black box. That's what he said. But that started this whole thing that occasionally we do on Master of Unlocking, where I will get something, kind of like the deadbolt lock from the last episode, that I've never seen before, and we will try to pick it open. So, Cyricel is like, okay, so you got this guy open, and that bothered him for like a year or three. So he wanted me to check something else out. So he gave to me on loan. This thing's shockingly heavy. This bastard. And in explaining this bastard, I'm actually going to change cameras briefly because there's a little bit of info about this that we're going to go over. So let's go over to the chat screen. So, as we tilt the camera back up, there you go, that's my crazy hair. This is a ThinkPad Mini Dock Series 3. I know, it sounds like some sort of sci-fi thing, you know, the ThinkPad Mini Dock Series 3 Alpha Enterprise Klingon thing, or like the monolith from like the monolith from 2001: A Space Odyssey on a diet. Which is kind of ThinkPad's aesthetic. What it essentially is it is a dock, which I will show later. Unfortunately, we couldn't find the exact laptop that fits this, but you basically put this guy in here, and it expands, and we're going to go into detail in a bit, all of the ports on here. And then, really fascinatingly, it has a bypass for the power button that is entirely controlled, as well as this whole thing hitching on, a actual physical hardware lock. Now, obviously if you're wearing this is kind of odd because this is basically like a chastity belt for your computer. And that brings up the fun thing, which is that a lot of people, if you put this, it feels like I'm holding a gun here, like, it even makes the click sound, listen. That's just funny. Yes, I'm a giant dork. You could probably tell with the hair and the glasses and the nerd voice. No, as I do Kilroy. So I'm gonna stop procrastinating. This would be very unusual if we could actually somehow come outside because of COVID, and if Rudy Giuliani stops licking doorknobs. God, this really feels like holding a gun, and like I feel like a stormtrooper, and or like Starship Troopers is more accurate. But anyhow, people be like, what the heck is this? There's a lock on it and all these ports and it docks in. And what are you trying to play like the Nintendo 3DS? What's going on here? Cyberpunk 2077 is now. And that actually brings up something really funny that I want to share with everyone, which is that a long time ago, that the idea of having a physical lock on your computer was really common, but don't take my word for it. Let's hear what one of my favorite YouTubers, Lazy Game Reviews, has to say on the entire subject of locks on computers. This is going to really age me because this is basically a lot of my childhood going by, or my very early childhood.
Have you ever looked at an older computer case and wondered about this thing? This is what is known as a key lock, and these were a standard feature on tons of computer cases from 1984 to around 1994. Alongside the turbo button, the presence of a key lock is one of those things that instantly dates a personal computer to that time period. But what exactly did they do? Where did they come from? And why aren't they so commonplace on the average home computer anymore? To answer the first question, key locks usually did exactly what you'd expect. They locked the computer with a key. How exactly it would do this depends on the type of lock and the wiring inside, but most of the time it would prevent people from opening the case, prevent the keyboard from being used, or a combination of the two. For example, the LGR Woodgrain 486 has a key lock that only affects keyboard input. When you turn the key, it shorts a jumper on the motherboard, which tells the computer not to accept any signals from the keyboard. It doesn't stop anyone from just opening up the case and removing the connection between the key lock and the motherboard, of course, but it prevents the most casual of shenanigans from taking place. However, with certain other computers, it's another story, since the key lock physically slides a piece of metal into place when activated, preventing the case from being opened at all. Sometimes this also locks down the keyboard, sometimes it disables hard drive access, and other times it might even prevent the computer from powering on in the first place. But the method of disabling keystrokes and locking down the case seems to be the most common, and the first mainstream appearance of this type of key lock was from IBM in 1984, introduced with their 5170 model, the IBM PC-AT. To quote the November 13, 1984 issue of PC Magazine, the AT provided the first real system for allowing executives to sleep at night. A hard-to-duplicate tubular key locks all but key holders out of the system. This was a big deal because the original IBM PC and PC XT were utterly trivial to get inside of. All you needed to do was loosen a few screws on the back of the case and you could mess around all day. And there was nothing preventing anyone from using the computer at any time, since there were no passwords or user profiles, and this was a problem for businesses. So IBM contracted the Chicago Lock Company to address this, and they went with their patented tubular lock, a compact type of cam lock that used a cylindrical key, the same kind often used on vending machines, pinball tables, and alarm systems. In reality, it was a minimal security measure, more for peace of mind than anything else, basically just there to prevent casual stuff from happening that you don't want to, but it served its purpose for the business market. IBM also introduced the personal computer key lock option for IBM PC and XT users around the same time, but this was a bit different. Instead of disabling keyboard strokes, this thing locked the computer from being powered on at all. Connected to the key mechanism was this little arm inside that grabbed the power switch, and when you turned the key, it would control the power of the computer. Not only that, but it had a steel plate that clamped down on the case, preventing the thing from being opened, and it even had a lock for the power cord itself so it couldn't be unplugged. And naturally, when IBM did something back then, everyone else had to follow, and the age of the key lock was born. Not all of these cloned key locks were as robust or secure as they could have been, though, and it was quite often that one tubular key would unlock a variety of computer cases from all sorts of manufacturers. Sometimes they'd use a more traditional key instead because of this, and while this could be easily copied at any hardware store, it was at least somewhat unique to the system. Unfortunately, this also meant that if the keys were lost while the key lock was engaged, using or opening your computer became a real pain in the nuts, and it's not uncommon at all to find a used vintage PC with a key lock and no keys. And there were a few other lock options for computers as well, like this one that locked down the surge protector. Instead of locking down the power switch, it locked down the box that all your components plugged into. More exotic computers like this SGI Indigo 2 used a metal bar with a hole in it, and the idea here was that it prevented opening the case by sliding it through the middle of the computer, and you'd place a padlock through the hole on the other side. There were even options for locking down access to the floppy disk drive alone, with a rather silly-looking disc-shaped lock device with a key awkwardly sticking out of it. In the end, the thing that really ceased the need for a key lock was software, at least when it comes to most everyday home consumer PCs, and not counting exceptions like servers, workstations, and enthusiast cases. BIOS setups started including a password option on boot up to prevent unauthorized tampering, and operating systems began including password-protected user profiles. Data encryption was also becoming more common all the time, so even if a user was able to get past the flimsy Windows password check, sensitive files could still be protected by a robust algorithm. Plus, home users more often than not didn't want or need a key lock at all, since it was only themselves or their family using the computer anyway. Of course, it's a different story when it comes to laptop computers, since those are portable and easily stolen. Many laptops still include a physical lock option, often from Kensington, but even then it's usually an extra purchase and not something that comes packed in with the system itself. And that is the gist when it comes to computer key locks. They served their purpose for a time and made their way into homes and businesses for years, even though most people probably never even bothered with them. Yet for some reason, I still like using these things, even though I have absolutely no logical reason to do so. It feels nice and nostalgic, just like pressing in a turbo button or handling a floppy disk. Sure, it's kinda pointless, but anytime I use a computer with a key lock, I can't help but mess around with it for a minute. It's a neat feature to look out for and mess with if you're interested in classic computer collecting, so keep an eye out for a machine with a key lock if you want the full experience. Just be sure it comes with the friggin' keys first.
Of course, you would know that not coming with the keys first would not be so much of a problem for me or our show, for the most part. Um, But yeah, so these used to be actually quite common when I was younger, like literally all the way up until I would say about in the middle of high school. I would still find a lot of computers with physical locks on them. And I don't know if he meant it to be sarcastic. I like to assume he meant it to be sarcastic. But I love when he talks about the Chicago lock, um, as they advertise an unduplicable key, because I'm not going to show it on here, but you know from previous episodes, as you can get your instant reward over there, um, that we did cover an entire episode about entire episode about tubular locks and how back when they came out, it confused, security through obscurity. It confused a lot of like a Mary Sue Lou here thing going on. Um, a lot of lock pickers until they started to figure out how to actually tension the things, how to pick them, and then eventually they made impressioners that pick most tubular locks so incredibly fast while decoding them, thus being able to duplicate the keys, that Chicago style locks, aka tubular locks, and picked up that I said Chicago like I'm from there, which I'm not. I just have a lot of Chicago and Polish relatives uh, that they're now basically trivial unless you get some that are super tiny or have some sort of speciality in them, or they have security pins. But as you saw in the video, he sort of brought up this guy here, and we're gonna briefly switch over cameras for a moment, just because I want to point out something on here. Now we are going to go over, which let me tilt the camera down for a moment. Ooh, there we go. So sorry for anyone who's like seasick or anything. So this is it. I don't have the close-up camera today because I don't think we honestly need it. But let's just go over some stuff. So this is the main port that does the bypass in here that allows it to access the rest of the board. And of course, there's these little clips here that clip onto the underside of the keyboard. I don't know if from what I understand, I think just the computers have basic holes on them. And then you open the little plastic thing that opens this bypass serial port, and then it just snaps in like a giant Lego here, including this mechanism part that I find fascinating. On the back, as you can see, it expands greatly what your laptop can do. So you have because probably also with the hinge, a lot of things are also accessible. So you have your little, I believe this is this is the main power port here. You have an HDMI out, and you have a VGA sort of serial connector. It seems to be a variant from the normal one, so it just might be a giant serial plug. I love how it actually, it's hard to see on the camera, but it actually has like a little human face. If I angle this, like it has like a human face as the logo, which I find hilarious. You have your microphone and headphone jack done separately. Unlike today where they're often combined, you have your Ethernet port. I imagine that probably the default laptop maybe has like 2, possibly 3 USBs. So like how I much fantasize with the computer I'm streaming from, this has a whopping 6 USBs. You can plug everything in there. You can plug your external mic, your smartphone, your external data power supply, a USB stick, your Hitachi Magic Wand for back massages, and an extra port to spare. So this has a bunch of things there. And actually, I'm sorry, I'm stupid. This is the VGA port. This is a serial port because I'm dumb and I didn't visibly look over here beforehand. So because he literally just gave this to me a couple of minutes ago. So as we turn around here, you can kind of see here's the latch that does here for the slide out function. And like I said, this main port does a pass through to access all of it, so that way it expands all of the port options over here. But when we turn it around, here's what's fascinating. Besides the fact that you also have a screw, and I think this might actually be an option to thread like another Kingsington type cable in here. But you have this main button, which I believe is it's designed so when you press this, it depresses down. And if you notice these little prongs here, when you do that, that attaches and detaches from the laptop. So what we're interested in is the fact that there's a power button over here, and that power button, I believe, in terms, and I also think possibly the lock mechanism, possibly because right now it's in unlocked mode, all stems from this lock up here. Now, we're going to go through the same methodology we did last time where we're going to look at it, we're going to prod in there, but if I look at it, I can kind of tell what this is already, and I will show it to you. So you've probably seen me bring locks out like this. This is a Master Lock 140, and I call these my tiny brass boys. If you want to pick an actual lock once you learn how to pick 4 pins with, let's say, a training kit, or you don't have one but you want to do an easy lock that you can get at almost any hardware store, pretty much every hardware store possible, big chains and small, especially big chains. Like I got these from Lowe's, and I prefer Lowe's. For reasons I'm not going to bring up on air, but they don't sponsor this. I just have personal reasons for that. But these are what I call basic pin tumbler locks, and I know I don't have the close-up camera, but you can tell that they're pin tumblers because if I angle it up this way, see up here in this upper part of the keyway, you'll notice this little piece of brass metal. It looks like a tiny bullet in there. That's the beginning of a row of key pins and driver pins, and we've gone through multiple episodes, and I can even do this now. In fact, I'm actually going to attempt to do this with one of, actually, you know what? I'm going to rake this guy open. I'm not even going to pick it open because I didn't take my main single pin pick picks. Try to say that 5 times fast out. But again, with a little bit of tension and doing that, you manipulate all the pins in here. And watch, this is going to be camera shy now. Or I grabbed a crappy one. You know what? Let me actually go in, because once you start doing this, you start getting obsessed. And I'm going to just pick out my normal short hook here, and we will single pin pick this guy. And you probably know about already, or if not, go back to previous episodes where you have key pins and driver pins. One of the reasons why I like these 140s is simply because, yep, there we go. Even though they have 4 pins in them, and actually these have a spool pin in them, which is technically a security pin. Again, we covered this in previous episodes. 2 are already basically set at the shear line, so you only have to manipulate. Sometimes, rarely, you can only manipulate 1 pin, but it's often just 2 pins, like what I just did. And that does everything at the shear line, which allows me to turn this core, and the lock opens. Now, why am I doing the quick overview of that? Well, let's do a fun little, I'm not going to need this guy, but I'm going to put him here, or them there. I'm going to do some comparison here, and I want you key pins and drive pins to notice something. So as I said, you can learn a lot by staring at someone's underside hole, as we have seen on the Master of Unlocking. Yes, welcome also to the show of innuendos, because I can't avoid them due to the nature of the hobby. But like I said, you have you have this keyway, and then usually on the what's considered the top side, in fact, that's how you'll know it's the top side for Europeans, it's on the bottom, and it really doesn't matter which row, but there's always one row of driver pins and key pins, and you can tell if you're dealing with a traditional pin and tumbler lock done in a row as opposed to the way dimple locks are done where it's on their side, and we're going to eventually next year get to dimple locks, because if you look in there you can see what's kind of a little bullet. Now I have here what I believe and pretty much know what this lock is, and take a look at this guy. Now from a distance at first glance there doesn't really seem to be much difference between these two. Let me actually turn this way. Lock systems. They're made out of brass. These are actually kind of almost the same color, and they have two slots. But if you look at them, like I said, I can angle up the normal key pin tumbler lock, and if I angle it like that, you can kind of see there's a little bullet. Well, look at this. No matter where I angle it, there's no bullet. In fact, if I had a higher res thing in there, you can kind of see there's just basically a flat piece of metal at the top, but there's no little bullet. And that's because the difference between these two is that this is a pin tumbler lock, and this is what's known as a wafer lock. And that's where we're going to switch the cameras again as I tilt up for one last time, because I want to do a quick overview, even though we've covered it in a previous episode, about what makes a wafer lock kind of strange and unique. So as you can see in this excellent video, it just looks like a, and I just want to double check something just to make sure. Okay, good. I just want to make sure my microphone was working. You'll notice that it's just a normal cylinder that you put a key in, but we're going to now strip that away, and you're going to kind of see what's going on here. Oh, sorry, I just realized that like a dumbass, I forgot to switch the camera. So I lied to you all there for a second, but don't worry, we're going to correct that right now. So again, like I said, this looks like a normal pin tumbler lock. You put the key in, it turns, and it opens, and then you take the key out, and if you try to use a tension wrench without the key in, don't pick it, looks normal. But we're going to strip this away, and I'm going to you're going to see here what makes it odd. So there's the core, and it works on the same principle where the wafers get in the way of turning the core, and you have to have them evenly line up. But here's what makes this odd. Again, they're not using pins, they're using wafers. And basically, wafers with their springs are essentially a key pin and driver pin all in one. And as you can see, when you take the key out, they jut out in different spots, and that's sort of what makes them unique. They with the wafer pressing stuff, I believe, designed, I think first probably formulated 1930s, 1940s, and then really solidified in the 1960s. This was considered the lock system of the future. Now, what's unique about them is that they can jut out at different angles. And because of that, as you can see, it juts out the top and bottom. Not only you can use one set of wafers and actually have it where you would have to manipulate them on both sides. Hence this key that has ridges both on the bitting ridges both on the top and the bottoms of the key. You probably are very familiar with a common thing that wafer locks are used for, even more than a lot of people often say luggage locks. But in reality here, as actually I'm going to let this innuendo play out. That was my stomach. Not the yell, that was different. Anyhow, but it takes the key out. But that's the thing, is that you probably, if you've owned a car or have seen some, or you're a poor millennial like me and you've seen what a car, that's it, picking, what it looks like. And now we're going to switch the cameras back here if I can. You will probably have noticed that not only does the car lock look a lot like this type of lock system, where it's just a plain slot and maybe you see a little piece of metal on the front and that's it, there's no little bullet. But you'll notice that the key is wavy on both sides, and that's because with one set of wafers, basically some wafers are lower below the bottom part. There's two shear lines. It's either jutting out the bottom part of the shear line or the top of the shear line. So you actually have, the key basically pulls and pushes both, all the wafers, to get them both, all the shear lines equal, and that way it has space to turn. So same principle as pin tumbler locks in terms of that there's pieces of metal that are all on the line at the shear line, and that you need to move them. But instead of dealing with one row of, well, not only are you dealing with one row of them, so instead of just pins, instead of 2 pins, you're dealing with one wafer that has spring tension. But with a lot of wafer locks, such as for car doors, and we're going to also cover cars next year, and car locks, and bypasses for those. But what do you call it? A lot of times with these wafer locks, they're actually, you have to manipulate both sides of the keyhole, so both top and bottom, to manipulate all the wafers in order to get everything at the shear line and to open it. And so my theory, and I'm going to tilt the camera down, is that's what this thing is, and we're gonna go in kind of an order here to ramp up to this little I'm gonna say this guy. I'm gonna just gender everybody. So I want to show you how you would pick this lock, and what's crazy is that you don't really need any crazy tools to really pick this. So first of all, you can use top of the keyway, bottom of the keyway tension for these. I'm just using a bottom of the keyway tension for this, simply just because I find this easier. So that's this guy, and as I've told everyone with padlocks, I kind of, there's different ways to pick them, but the most optimal way is you stick the top row part into the meat of your hand, and then you wrap your thumb around so that holds the lock in place, and then you use the tip of your finger and you apply the tension, because not only do you get the most control in your tension by doing that, but if you have to, particularly with a lot of these low security locks like this one, do light tension, if your finger is all the way up here, it's very easier to, basically the closer you are to the keyhole on the tension wrench, especially for bottom of the keyway, the more you can accidentally and easier put a large amount of tension on them. So by putting all the way out here, you have better control, and that way if you want light tension, you just like boop it. I usually touch people to do this, but as I say, it's just enough for the lock keyway, the tumbler core keyway to turn, and as soon as it stops, that's enough tension. Or if you want to put it in a more ideal way, take a piece of paper, put your finger and hold the piece of paper against the wall. The exact amount of pressure that it takes, the minimum amount to hold that piece of paper to the wall, is the exact amount that you would do for light tension such as this. And technically, I could go in with a short hook or a half diamond, and in 10 seconds there'll be another incent reward, and pick this lock open. But people who make lockpick tools want to make this easier for everyone, and there's a certain type of tool that I prefer to use for these that we're going to use on today's episode, and that's over here. Now, just in case I took the snake rake out, and also just in case I took this weird flag guy here that I'm still trying to figure out uses for. But if you've ever looked into a lockpicking kit and you wondered, what the heck are these things? These things here, these little circle guys, are designed specifically for wafer locks, and they don't have well, there's one creative name and the one doesn't really have that much of a creative name. This one is designed, this is for single wafer picking or raking. You can use them both to pick and rake. In fact, the double ball one here, which is one of its names, is designed specifically for raking. But this one is what's called a ball. This is a half ball, I know, haha. It's designed for one set of rakes. A full ball or a double ball can actually rake and pick both sides if this was a double-sided wafer lock like a car lock. And in fact, fun trivia tip for those who missed the previous episode, there's another more common name this one goes as. Take a good look at it. What do you think, instead of calling it double ball and all us laughing like little kids, I'm going to give Chad a couple of seconds to guess what the name for this one is. There's a large ball on top of a smaller ball on top of a larger ball, because that's the way I like it. But what common name? What does this look like? And it's December, so this should be very appropriate. What does anyone chat know what this is? Does anyone know what the more common name besides double ball this is? Snow. I like how you said snow person. I'm gonna actually start using snow person. Yes, this is commonly known as a snowman. You could also say snow person because it looks like a tiny snowman. And that's what we're going to use. And because I know from this one, because I only saw the little piece of metal at the top, that this is, and thank you Delsa Domona for guessing that, is only one-sided wafer, I'm just going to use the half ball I have here. And I can do one of two things. I can literally single wafer pick this, just like I did with the other lock. You heard that open. Or I can go in and using the same technique, little light tension here, I can do raking like it's a S rake, a snake rake, or a Bogota, and go in, put a little bit of pressure, and do that, and it should also open that way. And I want to clarify, so with pins, you want to hit these little tiny bullets. That's what pins look like, which is why, for example, this short hook, if you notice, has a very precise tip, because it's just the tip, and it cups the pin correctly. We can use this to pick open a wafer lock, but it's tricky because, again, this was designed for pins. It was designed for tiny pins that fit its exact little tiny head. It wasn't designed for these broad wafers, so a lot of the times you accidentally might get it stuck in there, or it might clip something in the lock or whatever. The roundness of the Half Balls, Balls, and Snowman, that's a movie I've seen. I think I've been to that nightclub in Fire Island. But that roundness is designed to catch the wide but yet even thinner wafers, so as I can actually more properly feel each individual wafer when I use these sort of rounded picks. And I'm actually going to go back to, because it should work, because again, I believe this is a wafer lock, to the black box to show what I mean by this. Now, I also have a theory here that because this is set to the unlock position, and actually, which we can test out right now, if we use the turning tool on this, I'm actually going to angle this up a bit more. I doubt we're going to, yeah, this is still stuck in there. So what's funny is it's not like a normal key where if I put it in unlocked mode, it just leaves it there, and then at any point, because everything's discombobulated, I turn it off. There's actually two different shear lines, and I'll show this to you on the black box. There's two different shear lines, one at the top and one off to the side when it rotates. So which that means when we pick one of these guys open, we have to, what do you call it? Basically, once it's open in the open position, it locks in again, and you have to re-pick it to put it back in the locked position. So I'm going to show you how I did this guy last time. And the trick with this was a bunch of different things. We had to correctly identify this. We had to sort of figure out the mechanics, because we were actually at one point turning the wrong part, and we actually found the actual core to turn. And three, more importantly, this thing was apparently in serial cell storage for so long that it basically was rusty and couldn't. So we sprayed it with WD-40 with some basically lube, which was fun because I like lube. And 1, 2, 3, we got this open. So I believe we could do the same thing tonight. I just want to once again real quick post in chat that we are trying to raise money, as you can see with the upper bar here, that when it's donated, this bar expands. It expands just like I do when I'm happy. For Child's Play, and it's not for the new movie. It's not another new Chucky movie. Child's Play is run by the Penny Arcade Expo. You probably are familiar with that name because we went to PAX East earlier this year, and we hope to go back again next year. And PAX stands for Penny Arcade Expo. But the Penny Arcade people have set up Child's Play, and basically they use their money to get video games, VR, and medical equipment to people who are gravely ill, like they have cancers or rare diseases. Also, probably due to COVID now too. People who have disabilities, and both adults and children who have suffered domestic abuse. So anything that you donate, even if it's, I mean, it'd be amazing if you donated 20, 50, 100, $1 billion, but if you donate like $10, $5, $3, $1, just don't donate any Zimbabwean dollars, and don't donate any cryptocurrency yet, even though we're kind of working on that. I wish we could directly through Tiltify, but you can donate that and it'll go for a cause. Even if we don't make our $300 allotment before I open this guy, all the money that we raise will, like, if it stays somehow at $15 until the end of this month, until New Year's, all that money will still go over to help kids, especially this holiday season, deal, cope, and rehabilitate from their suffering. And it's just kind of getting sad, trying not to cry. Flashbacks here of my childhood being ill. And also that we don't handle the money directly. We handle it through a third party, through Tiltify. So in chat, if you're on DLive or YouTube and you want to make a child's day across multiple hospitals who are sick or being abused, you can click on that link and that will bring you to the donation page. If you're on Twitch, you can scroll down and we have a widget where you can donate directly to this. Also, note when you donate, as well as if you hit that like button and click like and subscribe on, follow, like, or subscribe on Twitch D Live or YouTube, because Facebook is currently not working now because it's Facebook. We do see alerts for that. So I will know when you donate, and I'll know when you like it, because basically I'm Hacker Santa. I read my list, and I check it twice, and I know all of you who are red teams and blue teams, because I'm coming to town and breaking into your house, as you can see, because I know how to pick locks. So with that spiel out of the way, we're going to open this guy again, and then I promise we'll get to the Grand Poobah, but I'll show how this basically works. So, you know how I mentioned that weird double prong guy earlier? Well, this is designed for this type of lock head, which is very similar to a car lock. These two prongs are not only designed to go into these sort of wafer lock keyways, but if there was a shutter on this door, because if you look at a car lock, there's often a little piece of metal that when you push in the key physically moves that shutter aside in order to get into the paint tumbler. I just accidentally gave everyone the finger on that. You're welcome. These two prongs will also hold that door open, so you're not like holding it open with one tool and using another and doing hand gymnastics. And the reason why I'm going to show you how to open this one is because I think it's going to be similar process to this, because if you look at, and if I can rotate this, the keyholes, they look extremely similar to each other. So I'm going to show you how I open the mysterious black box, and then we will try to open this one, because or basically relock it. Because remember, there's two positions, and it's in the unlock position, because I feel like the same techniques on here are also going to work on this guy here. So the way we did this, first of all, we had to lube it up because everything was super rusted and nasty. And then what I realized is that you're actually tensioning, if I remember correctly, I believe it's, yeah, we were trying to tension this sort of inner core, this thing that looked like the inner core, but the actual core is on the outside, so you have to put it like that, and that holds that open. And again, we're just putting a mild bit of tension. I'm going to hold it up closer to the camera a bit later on, and this might be camera shy, but I'm going to go with the half ball, and because the wafers on this are on one side, and I'm going to see if this works. I know I'll also show everyone how you can tell if there are, how many wafers there are, because there's a technique for that, and we'll do that on the new guy first, but let's see if I can get this one open. I'm going to single wafer pick with the half ball. I just felt, oh, and it popped out. That happens a lot also at high security locks, even though it's not high security lock, and actually I'm going to put this guy on the floor so I can have more of the table here. A lot of times, in my opinion, when you get like a lock with a bunch of spools, even though these don't have spools and there's no security wafers in here, but I often feel like when you have a lock with security wafers, it often feels like it's about to open, and then the actual tension wrench just falls out of your hands. So I'm going to try this again. It's that guy, moving him. And again, if anyone has any questions about what I am doing, or why my hair's all crazy, or me go over all the tools, or you just want to chat some hacker crap or current events, how your day went, yep, there it goes. See, and I just single wafer picked to this. You saw it rotate. I'm going to bring it back to its unlocked position. Please let me know in chat. Also, if you can't hear me, or if I'm too loud or too soft, please let me know in chat. Otherwise, keep lurking and keep learning, and keep getting those incense ports. And if you can, donate to the awesome charity. So as you can see here, I can now rotate. I'm going to take this out. I can rotate this core because I picked the one sides of the wafers. And if I move it over, you're going to hear it click. Heard that click? I mean, I scraped the metal a bit, but that is the second shear line. It's unlocked. I can open it. Surprise, it's nothing. This is 2020. Oh, wow. It's fucking nothing. But if I had the key, I would just put it back in and lock it, but there's two different shear lines. So this basically has relocked itself, so it has basically reset itself. So I basically have to pick it again in order to lock it. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this on the table. We're going to put this back in here. We're going to tension it the other way because we're going to watch it. Damn it. It keeps slipping out of my hands. This normally doesn't happen to me. But yeah, we're gonna attempt to tension this. Actually, do it like this. The other way, And what I'm going to attempt to do here, once I get this in line, is I'm going to put a little bit of tension, and I'm going to attempt to rake it essentially closed. That's odd, because normally, you know, when you do a technique like this, it's like, oh, it just opens, and then you kind of leave it that way. And what's weird about these specific type of wafer locks is that, I just realized this, okay. What's weird about these type of wafer locks is that, again, you have to pick them to open and pick them to close. And by looking at this weird laptop dock, I think it's going to be the same thing except with one funny twist. Okay, so even though it just fell out right when I was climaxing, it can turn by rapidly going back and forth with the half ball rake and thus raking the ball pick, hence raking the wafers. I've managed to do the shear line on this side, and now I can turn it back to the lock position. You can hear it click. All the wafers went to the upper shear line, which means that it is now locked. Now, before we get into that, let's do a bit more recon. And as I said, reconnaissance is where we try to do research in advance and see what we can find about something. So I'm going to tilt the camera out probably one last time. Again, depending on how this goes, this might be an actual short episode. But this has honestly been a fun episode. But we're going to go back and we're going to look at the product page. And let's see what we can learn about this thing. So ThinkPad Mini Dock Series 3. At this crazy 4337100U or IOU, I guess, United States, because this is American ThinkPad Mini Dock Station Series 3. Ideal for notebook users who need ease of access, because, you know, we all need ease of access to ports and holes. To the internet, LAN, multiple USB devices, audio, video equipment, and robust key lock security. That's going to be funny if we can defeat this. Robust key lock security. Keep that in mind just in case it's really easy to open, because I don't know. I haven't picked this one yet. We're going to find out. Features and benefits. The left corner alignment for easy system attachment. Again, we don't have the actual laptop right now, so I'm going to just take that word for it as our co-founder walks by, being Italian as fuck. Convenient eject button for one-step system removal. As we saw, that was that. I believe that was this clicky guy here. 3 video ports. Any 2 of the 3 video ports can be used simultaneously. It's actually compatible. I love this. NVIDIA Optimus technology, which makes me laugh because when I hear Optimus, I hear in my head, what do you call it? Has anyone accidentally or on purpose tortured themselves with the Michael Bay Transformer films? So one of these days I'm going to make a video about what I think of those films, and it's simple. It's just going to be every clip where the dumbass Shia LaBeouf character, Sam Witwicky, I think his name. I can't believe I even remember that. All he does in the entire film is just scream Optimus and Bumblebee. Like, between him going the Shia LaBeouf, no. The entire movie is just Optimus, 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 and Bumblebee. And it's just a mix of Optimus, Bumblebee. That's all there is. So, to me, NVIDIA Optimus technology, I read it like Shia LaBeouf. It's like NVIDIA Optimus, you know? So, obviously, this dock is not compatible with Decepticons. That's what we've learned. ThinkPad display is enabled, and the ThinkPad system is integrated graphics, so it has it has integrated graphics technology. Basically, this expands into that. So basically, from what I understand, you can take an external graphics card in a box and hook it up to this extension, and the laptop should be able to be compatible with it. So there's that. There's the VGA analog monitor support by 1920 by 1200 resolution. Wow. Okay. Because we're running on 1920 by 1080, so that's a resolution 10. There's one single link DVI-D. That must be that little dash on the side monitoring system, because and then there's a DisplayPort monitor, because I noticed with these guys that this one is obviously basically like I guess it's a DVI, it's like a VGA sort of thing, yeah, DVI to VGA, and then this one looks like it's a VGA, but not only is there a lot more prongs and it's a different color, but there's a little dash on the side. I think that's the dash D in there. It's like there used to be a lot of displays in Japan that use those type of things that were really common. Then we have audio ports. There's, as we said, the microphone, and headphone jack, which is over here. Sorry, the camera's over here. And then there's an RJ45. Maybe one day I'll crimp my style and do some crimping on this because, you know, RJ45 always sounds like some asshole that sells like OK weed on your block. It's like, yeah, RJ45, I know that guy. He's friends with Davey 80, you know, like that's what I think of when I think of RJ45 because we smoke a lot of pot at Cisco training. Don't ask me how I know this. Cisco training in high school. That's a bad idea. Good idea for your career. Bad idea.
High school for nothing.
Bad idea in terms of like you put. That's how actually the reason why we have, by the way, female phone operators. Because you put a bunch of teenage boys in control of a piece of technology that people rely on, forget it. You might as well be Google. So let's see here. Or HP. HP is probably even more relevant. And then it says integrated key lock and cable lock slot. See again, that's for like that weird. I almost said Karpathy. There's a different company that makes like a. You put like it's like a wire thread through here, and it's a separate lock. So that should be the cable slot. But this is what they call the integrated. Ooh, and this moves up and down. Oh, that's what this button's for. It's like to, you know, like you ever do that like paper cutting thing where it's like you put that and you can fit the paper and then slice the fucker. That's what that's for. Now this is even more like a gun. Like watch this. It's like oh, I need to set this from single to semi-automatic. Like that's just so weird. Oh God, I just got flashbacks real quick. Does anyone in chat remember when I think this was last year. I think it was last year, where the United States Army was trying to advertise for a cybersecurity thing, and the advertisement was them doing field ops, but instead of having actual sidearms and rifles, they had keyboards and were holding and using the keyboards like they were guns. That was fun. The fun thing. Ciricel and I shared that video back and forth, dying laughing, and we figured G.I. Jack must have seen it. And he was coming home from work, so we found 2 external keyboards in our rooms, and waited and like right when he entered our apartment, closed the door and turned around. We're out there with the keyboards in the same style, and I think one of us threw a USB hub like it was a grenade and stuff. It was in the look on his face. I wish I could have captured it. Sadly, that was before we live streamed. In the future, we might recreate that for New Year's. Who knows? Let's see what they say. The cable lock and key operate separately because one's a pass-through and one's an actual built-in lock. The cable lock secures the ThinkPad Series dock to the workspace. Yeah, you basically thread the cable through on that. So you would take the cable, feed that through here. It's probably a tubular Chicago lock or like a 4-pin, maybe 5-pin tumbler lock. I don't know if they put any security pins in there, but I doubt it because, again, it's more peace of mind. And you would thread that through this little side hole here and out the other end. And then that way you then like loop it around like a pole on your table or like on the chair or whatever. And so that way, even if they try to physically pull the laptop off, they can't because a metal cord is holding it through a solid piece of thing. Now, if you have good cutting tools or you take the piece of furniture with you, like if you want to hot jack the computer, although it's a laptop, so why would you need to hot jack into it? That you can do that as well. But let's see, the cable slot supports, Kensington lock cables from Lenovo, which sounds like some designer model. The separate lock key on the side of the ThinkPad Mini Dock Series secures ThinkPad to the. Okay, so this lock is maybe it's not the power. It might control the power. I wouldn't know unless we attach the computer, but it definitely controls this locking mechanism. So since it's unlocked, we can move this up and down. As you can see, the little latches. It's like it's closed and then it opens, so we can take the laptop off and then it's closed again. When we put it in lock position, we should be able to either not push it down or it barely pushes down, and basically the mechanism doesn't actuate, because if I slowly push this, you realize you have to put a lot of force. Actually, it has to be like halfway at minimum in order to actually engage and move those pieces of plastic out of the way of the mechanism. To remove the ThinkPad from the ThinkPad Mini Dock Series 3, the user turns the separate key. The user does not need to remove the cable lock for the ThinkPad Mini Includes 2 security keys. Now that's interesting because I don't know if that means it's a duplicate of the same wafer lock key, or, which is what I'm thinking, is that um, there might be. Remember I said that there's one shear line here for unlocked, which is what it is, and then there's another shear line for locked. Um, sorry, this is unlocked, and there's another shear line for locked. They might be at 2 different biddings. So one key might be the lock key, and the other might be the unlock key. I won't know how. I could try to figure out if there's 2 different biddings, but that would be interesting to see there. And then it's compatible with the monitor stand, and then a 90-watt AC power adapter. Let's see, in notes, DisplayPort monitor, and there's a whole manual. That's a PDF. I'm now curious. I'm actually going to try to load the PDF in the browser, and hopefully it doesn't crash the stream. And again, just want to let people know that I am trying to raise money. We are for the entire month up until literally New Year's Day. Like after New Year's Day is over on the 1st, we're done raising money for for Child's Play. No, it's not for the Chucky movies. It's a group run by the Penny Arcade people. You probably know them from Penny Arcade Expo. We were there earlier this year when we could actually meet and breathe on humans and lick doorknobs in person, and pick locks in person because I taught that there. But they run a whole charity organization, very reputable. It's normally known for gaming, but they're really reputable, and they've done a lot of great work where they use all their money to get children who are physically ill, have mental and physical disabilities and long-time diseases, as well as adults and children who suffer from domestic abuse. Not only like games and toys to distract them, but also the equipment that they need, such as like VR mobility stuff and treadmills and things to help them recover and or get better, or to make them as comfortable through their suffering as possible. So I put the chat and link if you're on DLive or YouTube. If you'd like to donate $1, $5, $10, $20, that would be awesome. If you're on Twitch, you can scroll down, and the Tiltify donation, they handle the money. We don't, is right there. And no matter how, even if we don't meet our $300 goal, donate the money, because all of that will go directly to the kids anyhow. Like even if let's say by the end of this we raise like $299.99, all that money still is going to go to make a kid's life better for this holiday and ring in the beginning of the new year. So we think that would be a great way to celebrate the end of the new year. If you do donate, or you click like, share, and subscribe on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube, because Facebook is offline, because Zuckerberg, I will get notifications for those. I will hear them, I will see them, and I will cheer them on. I can tell you right now that the past 2 donations, both donations, no one's followed yet, but donations are Semitic, thank you for donating, and Anonymous for donating, and that's brought our stuff up to $15. I'm not going to reveal the amounts, but there's all that. Wow, that is some stereo instructions, because now I'm looking at this manual here. Dear Lord, how far can I zoom in? All right, I think this might be good, because I will read any of the text here. So as you see, it docks in and it uses all these ports, and you can do dual monitor setup and stuff. That's the key. Okay, so you put the key, and that does that, and it opens, and then you put the key in there for that end, and that locks the whole mechanism. And now I'm going to see if there's anything in here that talks about the key system. Let's find out if there's something that we don't know. So let's see, there's the warranty. Holy crap. It's only 2 pages, but they really optimized. They really did not want to kill a tree here, because I think it repeats in other languages too, but they put in as much as they could on this. This is the one sheet that to rule them all that they don't want you to lose. In-carry service. This might just be all legal information. Let's see. AC adapter. Yeah. Wow, okay, so all this is this is all legalese. Damn. Welcome to this world we live in, where the legalese is more than the actual stuff here. Now, what's interesting, actually, here's a bit of recon. This is why I brought out the snowman. If I can zoom in a bit more. Now, when I look at it, I can only see one wafer in the front, which means it looks very similar to this lock, which only has 1 row of wafers, as well as the lock that we just picked on the mysterious black box, which also has only 1 row of wafers. But if you look at the keys in this description, you see that design there, and then I think I can go back and we can also see it. It's on a different thing here. The page has to reload. We might have a picture of it here. I can't really make this any bigger. That's what she said. But basically, it looks like the keys have double bidding. So what that probably means, and now I'm going to switch the camera back because I've procrastinated enough, and I've cock teased you all enough, and private teased you all enough, and we're actually going to try to do this thing, is that we actually...
You,
Oh,
the master
that's
of
the intro.
unlocking,
That is
take
not
it
what I
with you.
wanted. Let's go away from the intro. There we go. I am an old man. But what we're going to need to do is, there's one set of wafers, but basically that means in addition to two different possible shear lines, if not at least just two shear lines because it locks and unlocks, meaning we'd have to pick this again in order to lock it or unlock it, meaning we don't pick it and then it's just loose forever until we bring it back. So there's two origin points. It might be bidding on both sides, which means the wafers jut out at both the bottom and the top. So this is basically almost like, which we'll cover in the future, a cruciform lock, where there is, like, for the unlock position, there are two shear lines top and bottom that have to be arranged to turn it to locked, and then to unlock it, you need to manipulate both these shear lines so everything's lined up, so then you turn it the other way. So we're going to find out with that. And the first thing I'm going to say is, because this gun laptop thing, it's so weird how I have to hold it like this in order to bring it up like the camera. That's what I've learned. Is basically laptop docks are nerd guns. Changed my mind. You can literally legit Star Wars cosplay with this, or Star Trek, depending on what you're into. And I know I'm gonna regret saying that because I'm in joke. But basically, what was I getting to? Is that this looks newer, so I don't think we need to get the lube out for this guy. So I should just be able to shove it in, work my magic, and it should open, provided that I'm skilled enough. So, and I know what I'm doing, because sometimes I think I know what I'm doing, but I then quickly realize I don't know what I'm doing. So, the first thing we're going to try here is we're going to attempt to see, because this is a double set of how many wafers. Now, the way you can figure out on a wafer lock and a pin tumbler lock, especially if the wafers are only one side of how many are in there, is you take a tool that has an entirely flat edge, and you take the flat edge side and you point the flat edge where the pins or the wafers are on the one side. So since the wafers are, the pins in this pin tumbler lock are all up here at the top, I face the flat end side so that they're facing those key pins that you can see there. So flat edge up here. It's not this round part. We're not picking. We're doing the flat edge. It's like straight edge, but even sadder. And what you do is you shove this tool all the way in the back, and then you push up, and that's going to push all of the pins up into the Bible, aka the Bible, and then you slowly pull out. And as you pull out, I'm gonna feel the pin drop, but with this microphone, you should be able to hear the pin drop. I'm gonna do it twice, so we're gonna count how many pins, count how many drops there are. Yep. First of all, I picked the dumb, stupid lock, so it's a little harder to do. That's what she said. Okay, I don't know if you heard that. Let me bring this up closer to the microphone. And I'm actually going to get a much better flat edge tool for this. This is primarily what I like to use the half diamond for, is for something like this. So I'm going to put this near the microphone so you're not going to see my hands. And I'll hold it up so you can both see my hands. It should be close enough to the mic. And I'm going to put this back, pull up all those pins, and you're going to hear it count. You're going to hear them drop. Were you able to all hear that at home? Let me know in the chat. In fact, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to switch it over to the super sensitive mic temporarily. And now you should be able, now I sound super loud, so I will adjust that. I apologize. But now I should be able to do this, and you should be able to hear the pins drop. So here we go. Heard that? Let's count again. Yeah, that's why I'm redoing it. So you should be able to hear it now because I can see it on the sound. Slowly pulling out. 1, 2, 3,
4. And you can do the same thing with a wafer, particularly if it's one-sided. So again, I'm going to take this flat edge here, push it towards where I saw all the wafers, and when I pull out, you should be able to, I'll feel them, but you should be able to hear the wafers drop. Provided I put it in, I put it in the wrong side. Good night, everybody. So we put that in there, push up, and we should be able to hear, provided I can get around the wording for this, the wafers dropping. So you could count there was 4 wafers. Let's get around the wording. We're going to count again. So I pushed all the wafers up because they're one side. You'll hear them drop. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry. Let's do that again because I miscounted. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 wafers in here. Just like how there was as many pins. That's why these are both really trivial to pick. But what I haven't actually done yet is, if it's true and these are double-sided, I actually don't know how we're going to count how many are in here. I might have to basically do that same trick, but do both sides. So let's try this here. I'm going to move these guys up. Just stand up for this. So I put this, let's tilt this camera up a bit better. Put that here. And I already see this piece of metal here, so we're going to try this side first and count, if I can. So I'm pulling out. Well, let's try this again. God, this warding, Jesus Christ, that's going to be the most difficult part. Yeah, okay, so that's the issue here. Hang on. I think I have to angle it like this. We might be able to feel it now. Wow, this warding is going to be annoying, isn't it? Hang on. Okay, I see how this is angled. Yeah, we're going to try. Because what I did before I had this, basically it's going on this weird, very weird angle here. Okay, here we go. Sounded like there were 6 in there. Let me just quickly scrape the other side and hear if there was anything. No, so even though the keys I think are double-sided, I think there's still only one side. They're just weirdly warded. Let's try this again. Let's count. Oh, darn it. So that's what I mean, the weird warding around this. This is not gonna, it shouldn't be a problem when I attempt to pick this with the ball picks, but yeah, that's gonna be annoying. Jeez, really? This is the unglamorous side of physical security. This is the stuff that Bosnia and Bill and stuff edits out of their videos. Not to make them any lesser, it's just that's the reality of this. All right, so we're gonna slowly pull out and we're gonna attempt to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that it's either going to be 6 or 7 in there, I think. Let's find out. So, like I said, because it's one-sided, what I'm actually going to do is give me a moment. If you want to donate, I'm going to put the link in chat again. You can donate to Child's Play. If you donate like $1 or $5, that would be great. And I'm actually going to readjust the sound logo here because I just put the link to donate. If you are on Twitch, you can just scroll and use our widget, and it doesn't have to be made. I'd love if someone donated like $20 or $50, but like if you donate $5, $1, $3, something like that, that would be great. And in fact, I'm always rewarding you all the time on the stream because, as you can see over here, we have the instant rewards. But I'm going to be right back. I'm going to put on some quick music because I want to rehydrate for this one. So I'm not trying to stall, but I will be right back. Just enjoy the music for a couple of seconds. So be right back in a moment.
Sorry about that, everyone, as a new instant reward goes up. I I can pick locks without food for a decent amount of time, but water, I need water. Always hydrate. So welcome back. This is Master of Unlocking, where I teach everyone to pick locks. And what we're dealing with right now, as a quick recap, is we are dealing with a wafer lock. This is a laptop sort of expansion dock, expand dong thing that my friend, colleague, DEF CON 201 member, and living person, Cell, has donated to me to do on this episode because all the tools that I ordered are coming in tomorrow. And as we showed, there's a simple wafer lock like this, wafers on one side. And what's weird is I thought this might be double-sided wafers. Not that the wafers themselves are double-sided, but basically they're both top and bottom shear lines that the wafers jut out of in order to block the tumbler from turning, so you'd have to basically rake and pick both sides. But by feeling in here, I think we only need to actually pick one side. So the first thing I'm going to do is single pin pick, and because they're only on one side, I am going to just use this ginormous bottom of the keyway tensioner. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually pick this locked. So I believe there was 6 wafers in there, so I'm going to attempt to do this. This is the first time I'm ever doing this. And again, the weird part for me that's going to make this really difficult, which actually makes me think I might either use a top of the keyway or I actually might use the, actually that's what I'm going to do. Before I even get to the top of the keyway, let me just try the smaller one. I'm actually going to, let's see, was this one work better? No, it has the same issue. It's blocking too much of the keyway because the way there's like these little dimple wardings in here to help slide the key in, and that's actually getting in the way of my 25 thousandths of inch picks. Now I could technically use, I know I have thinner ball picks, but I do have thinner normal picks. But what I'd rather do is using this guy. Not only does it hold this, it should be able to hold this open properly if I can get this position right. Yep, but now I should have enough room to do both. You know, get you a girl, get you a partner that can do both. So now my main thing here is I'm trying to figure out. It's the issue also is that it seems like I'm gonna try it like this, but I honestly it seems like a shallow hook in order to. So I'm gonna try because this might be tensioning the wrong core, but we're gonna do this. I'm gonna do light tension. I'm gonna try to get around the warding of this. And let's start manipulating wafers. And this is also a really odd angle for me to do this at because normally I would do this like in my lap. God, this wording's making it at really odd angles. Yeah, it's just like I'm constantly getting stuck. Good thing is I can hear and feel them clicking and dropping, so they are being manipulated in an order. So we're gonna try this. Can you all hear me on here? Okay, just making sure. So we're gonna try this again. And I wish I had a better angle here in the meantime, but let's see. This wording, Jesus Christ. Because there's like this little groove here, and so I think I have to hold it like at this angle in order to get at them. Oh, that moved slightly. Hopefully that wasn't a false rotation. Hope I'm rotating the right part of the core, because that was the problem last time, was we were rotating the wrong part. The problem is that it has a very hard time fitting in these smaller grooves. I wonder if that's like a security thing or not. But let's, because normally I'd have this, I might end up doing this, is I might hold this in my lap and try this, but I'm actually going to try to zip this next. There's a technique that's similar to what the half diamond is. Let me rehydrate. Where zipping, it's technically a form of raking, but you don't need a rake to do it. It actually works the best on a half diamond. What you do is you go in the lock
You go all the way in the back, and then you push up so that it moves the final last pin. And then at that height, you pull back, hence you zip, and it makes a zip sound. And that might, like with the way raking works, vibrate all the pins, in this case the wafers, enough that it goes into position and turns. I'm going to attempt to try that just because this wording is so weird. I'm going to do some light tension and see if we can zip this open, or at least zip into a false set. Oh, and the tensioner fell out. I just want to let you know, just because the interests of food and time, I'm probably only going to attack this for like 30 minutes more tops. I really want to hopefully get this open in like 10 minutes, but I don't know if I'm putting too much tension or if I'm tensioning the wrong part. Because that was the problem last time, was after we unrusted the thing, we were literally tensioning the wrong part of the lock. And that's why it wasn't opening. So we're gonna try this. Hang on. So I'm gonna do kind of like more light tension, and then I want to see if any of the pins drop if this is unsuccessful. Oh, God, this is... I can't tell if I need longer prongs for this or shorter prongs. This is the only one of these that I have. It's actually pretty good. It was actually, honestly, besides the clear lock itself, it was the best part of the cheap Chinese picks that I got. And that's the thing. It was originally going to be in the later of the year, but COVID-19 happened. But I was planning, and I might do this for a Christmas, start with this as like a Christmas gift for myself. I was originally planning to expand my current pick set, because these are honestly, while I keep only the really good ones for myself, not that I give crappy ones to the students, but the ones that I don't need, I put for the students, and they work just perfectly fine. And I polish them and sand them and do a lot of this to make sure they work fine. But the thing about it is that these are really only temporary. There's a type of picks that I want, and that's the stove going off, that I want to get. Now I want to hear if there's anything that clicks back, because if not, that means I'm doing nothing. Okay, so it is being that, so my thought maybe is that, which is annoying me, we might be tensioning the wrong part here, which, yeah, that's what I think this is. Yeah, let me just check. I'm thinking it might be this we have to tension, but that's going to be difficult to do. And sadly, in order to really do that, I'm going to have to tilt this up more, and I'm going to have to like do this in my lap, because this is the most comfortable for me. And it's still going to be tricky. And the reason why it's going to be tricky is that these bumps are so shallow that I don't think it will properly hold to tension, which would actually be a very clever way of screwing over an attacker who's coming in. But I just want to see if I can do this in my lap. And again, the weird part about this, and I can already feel it going odd, is the most aggravating, annoying part of all of this is there's a little bit of dimple warding that's originally designed. See, that's the weird part for me with lockpicking. Is the irony is that a lot of the features that are designed for user, for ease of use for the user, the person who's trying to secure the thing, is actually the bane for the lockpicker instead of any like apparent security function. Meaning that this warding here was designed to help slide the key in, but what it's doing for me right now is that it is preventing me from really accessing these wafers. It's like getting, see, like this just happened, like it's like getting them stuck in everything. So I'm going to try my darndest here. Man, this thing really gets stuck. I'm going to try that zipping technique earlier. Maybe like proper raking might do it.
And the worst part is, that's the thing, this wording, it kind of makes me want to see, and for some reason I can't open it today. I actually want to see, because I might be able to get this, is I want to see if I can get ball rakes in like 18 thousandths of an inch or 15 thousandths of an inch, so I have a better way to move around this weird ass kind of rail guided dimple warding system they put in for user ease of use. This is just a thing here as you wander. And believe it or not, as for everyone who asks, this is Ghostbusters, the video game shirt. I got it for the Wii years and years ago. Very fun game. For Nintendo Wii, that should show you how old I am. I was out of college when that happened. And even though I was only getting the Wii version, they had these pre-order shirts, so I got one with my game. And it's funny because I don't know if it's on sale anymore, but they actually recently ported it to the Nintendo Switch for really cheap. And I never got to play that version of the game because that was originally on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. So maybe like one of these days I will check this out. All right. So I'm going to attempt to like rake it, and see if it opens. Also, I wonder if I'm like putting too much tension on it or whatever. God, you have to go at like the weirdest angle here in order to access any of these wafers. It's honestly really frustrating. It's actually making me curious if maybe we're using that. I should actually try a normal lockpick and see if that will actually might give me the advantage in this scenario. So let's find out. Let's see if I can maneuver around and feel any of this better. The wording is still annoying, but what's really, yeah, I'm still running into the problem, which is that guided railing system in here is actually providing a decent amount of physical security for my picks to hard access, which tells me, and I'm going to try this now, that I have a 15 thousandth of an inch hook, and normally I don't use these on wafers, but I want to see if this will help me around the warding, if I can even feel anything with this. If not, I'm going to attempt to the best of my ability to tension, because we might be tensioning the wrong part. We might have to actually tension this part here, which is going to be super difficult because it's so incredibly shallow that I don't even know how you would properly tension that. So I'm going to put it back to how we've been tensioning in this. I'm going to use my 15 thousandth of an inch hook here. And, hold on, yeah, 15 thousandths of an inch as the new instant reward pops up on the screen. By the way, I should probably explain how that works. It's a type of cryptocurrency. We started this on one of the past episodes, Crypto Barons, and it's for streamers. And basically what you do here is, oh boy, oh wow, this makes me realize how weird this is that you sign up with incent.com, and then that gives you basically like a crypto wallet for your phone, and it won't like hack your system or anything. And when you watch live stream with Incent rewards like ours, occasionally these pop up, and when you scan the QR code or type in that code DC201 7HPYP currently, you will get a small amount of Incent cryptocurrency, and you can cash it out immediately for money. So you can watch our stream for a couple of shows and then get like $2, $5, $10 just by watching our live stream. It's really cool. So you can check that out. Also, again, and you can see the link in the chat, we are trying to raise money for the Child's Play charity, which is not, believe it or not, a new Chucky movie. It is a charity run by the Penny Arcade Expo people, and the Penny Arcade people, I should say. And what they do is they try to get cool video games and technology products and rehabilitative technology products for people who have severe mental and physical illness, people who are disabled, and adults and children who suffer from domestic abuse of all different types. So if you really want to make someone's day, especially a child's day this holiday, you can go to that link, or if you're on Twitch, you can scroll down and click the widget we have and donate some money. Now, I know everyone's, including me, is kind of suffering right now due to COVID. So as much as I would love people to donate like 10, like donate 20, 50, $100, if you can only donate like $10 or $8 or $5, even $1, will go a long way to help someone either recover from an illness, mental, physical, or biological, and or help ease their suffering as they attempt to deal with the condition that they're in. I hate to sound all serious business, but a lot of times when you talk during lock picking stuff, that actually helps, because a lot of times you could be doing things too tense. Now, here's what I'm curious about. So the problem that we had with the mysterious black box before, after we lubed it, is that it's hard to see here, but basically there's two different cores. I was trying to tension what looked like this inner core here, and what I actually had to tension was this outer part here. Now, it looks like, and I'm going to put them side by side for me, that they're a similar setup. The issue, though, is that this is more easily to get at security-wise, because the outer part of the core is deeper than this one over here. And I'm having, and you've been seeing me struggle with this, I'm having a hard time when I try to do that little outer section. I'm having a hard time trying to tension that, particularly with one hand, without it popping out, as you just saw. So the only way I could think of doing it is I'm actually going to tension it, basically going to hold it in place really stiff with my hand, and this is not like my bad hand, essentially. So it's a little, I have to like really line it up. So I'm going to hold it kind of like that, and then I'm going to use the other hand see if that does anything. This is going to be really difficult for me to do, to be honest. And the lack of food is not helping. Alright, so. See, because that's weird, because they're even, but it feels like they're not even. It's like an optical illusion. That's so bizarre. Like, I really wonder now if this was like an intentional security feature or not. It also honestly makes it hard tension. Now, that's weird. I didn't hear any. Let's try zipping a couple of times, and let's hear if we heard any of these guys fall when we position it, because we might have been right this entire time and we're tensioning the wrong part. No, that I heard and saw some of the wafers drop in there. And by the way, I'm doing something kind of terrible right now, just because of my own curiosity. You never want to look in the lock when you're picking, because most, like 90% of this is feel, and 10% of it is sound. So you really want to like look in one direction and pick in the other. But I just wanted to see if I could see any of the wafers fall when I reset it. That's weird. So let me try to tension it with the proper core here, see if I get the same result. I can't tell if we're doing this correctly or not. I'm actually gonna, it shouldn't matter, but I'm gonna actually try to use the snowman. In the meadow we have built a snowman. And see if the winter themed thing as it pops out actually works. Keeps popping out. That's what she said. I'm actually gonna traditionally tension the core like we were doing it previously properly, because it might not be properly. I'm gonna try the snowman, even though this is should not be a double-sided wafer. Yeah, because there's nothing down here, and see if it works. Thing is, I don't know if I'm reaching that upper wafer. I also don't know if I'm tensioning it too hard. Let's just try the ball again. So I'm going to do different tensions. I'm going to do a super light tension and see if it works. Keep getting stuck. Okay, now I'm going to do some like light to moderate tension. I hope this doesn't have the same WD-40 problem. I might have to revisit this bad boy. It's funny because someone said earlier that a screwdriver would be able to go at this. I'm not going to test that, but we might do that next episode when we do bypasses. But I doubt it because these wafers should be able to prevent the pin tumbler lock from turning. Yep. That just happened. I'll keep getting hungry. Alright, I think I'm going to fiddle around with this for like 5 more minutes, and then if it doesn't get open, I'm going to succumb to defeat due to hunger. And then I'll see you guys on the next episode, which means everyone has 5 minutes. I'm going to post the link again in chat where if anyone wants to donate to our charity, which is Child's Play, I put the link in chat. If you're on Twitch, you can also scroll down and find the link to it. We're basically raising money all the way until literally the day after New Year's in 2021. So now to 2021 to raise money to get children not only toys, but children and adults medical equipment that they need in order to ease their suffering or even rehabilitate or cure their illness, disability, and or the domestic abuse that they suffered. So, you know, you don't have to donate like $1 million or even like $20. That would be great. But if you could donate $5, you know, $10, even $1 would go a long, long way. And Tiltify is the one that handles all the money, so we don't handle it. And even if we don't make the $300 goal, we are still going. All that money that's donated will still go through and change a fortune of a kid who's a kid and their parents who are in desperate need of help this 2020. And trust me, because of how 2020 is, we know that there's going to truly need to be a lot of help. And what's not helping is me trying to open this guy. That makes me wish that I had the key for this lock, and I'm actually now wondering if maybe it is a WD-40 lube thing, but I don't want to bother G.I. Jack for this because he just went nappy poos, and this thing's about to pop out. Okay. See, that's the thing is, unlike the last one, I honestly don't know which core, which like indent here that we need to tension. That's the part that's confusing me. See, it's 9:49, so in a minute or two, I think I'm going to probably have to just call this a day. Yeah, and I could see it manipulated there. That's so strange. So they are tensioning. The other problem is I don't know. I can't tell because they're kind of squishy if I'm properly lifting up these wafers or not. And what's really making this difficult is if I could just shave off that bump over here that I can see, which is why I have to kind of go in at this sideways angle, I'd be having a much easier time right now, let me tell you.
Let's try to rake it again. Okay, it feels like something's happening. I just don't know if I'm like tensioning the right part of this core here. Oh, I actually wonder. Now that I'm in a set, can I feel them now? Let's try super light tension. You know, outside that bump, one of the things that I've been meaning to get is a thing from Sparrows called the Octo Rake. And I'm kind of fascinated with it because basically the Octo Rake and the Warlock are particularly well designed for wafer locks. Now, I don't know about that little rail guide thing that I keep getting stuck on in here, but my theory is that I will actually laugh if that tool will work better on this, because it normally does with wafer locks. I'm going to try zipping. I also wonder if I'm properly hitting them all, or if there's like a wafer really far back that I can't reach. Let them all fall again and see if I can feel my way around. Kind of feel like I need like an 18,000th of an inch in order to properly like have enough strength to feel in here, but still be thin enough to get around that weird little guide rail. I'm actually going to go back to the shallow hook again and see if I can improve the situation. Also, I'm wondering if I'm just putting like way too much tension on the tension wrench. Because last time this happened, it was like I was turning like the wrong core, but I don't think that's the case. I'm going to try it one last time to do this outer one here that's really hard to like stabilize. See, that's what I mean. It's like I would need something super shallow in order for that to like more properly hook. Because otherwise I'll just keep... It actually makes me wonder... You know, that's actually a good point. No, it can't really catch on. I thought I might be able to use like 2 tension wrenches, although now I'm really curious if maybe a very shallow top of the keyway would hold. No, there's nothing for it to really grip. In fact, I mean, that kind of works, but I won't be able to like rake or anything with this. See, I can't tell if we're tensioning the right part or not. Because ideally I want to turn it like this, but the problem is, again, it's just the very teeny tiny tips of this. So it barely can like catch on anything. Like I want to check the width.
it's like slightly less than the width of one of the bottom of the keyway tension wrenches that I have. That is so strange. But yeah, I'm going to try one last thing in here. It's actually a tool I haven't tried yet. I'm always trying to find new uses for this weird flag type pick that came with the really bad Chinese set. And the steel might be too thick for this, but this might actually be decent for, keyword might be decent for single pin picking and or zipping these wafers. I keep getting caught on that rail. Okay, let me try zipping it if I can. Oh. This has been a frustrating episode. I feel like the past two Master of Unlockings have been particularly frustrating for me. Hopefully everyone else's night is going better. I think what's the problem too is that I'm smelling the gas from the stove, and I just keep thinking about the chicken I'm going to make. I also wonder if I'm like oversetting the wafers. In fact, let me just, I'm curious, let's try the heaviest tension I can put on this, see if I can feel it better. So I'm coming to a theory here that I might actually have to adjust the tensions as I'm moving up these wafers in order to properly put these wafers in their place, which is kind of an interesting thought experiment, except that I keep getting this thick guy really stuck. So I'm going to do one last time. And then honestly, I think 2 hours here is a perfect time. Then we also started on time. I'm shocked no one has actually pointed out. See, this is what happens. When I start off on time, nothing ever works. When I'm late, everything works for me. I think I have to use medium to heavy tension. It's a very specific type of tension here. Although now I'm actively wondering, which I will solve off camera because I'm too hungry, I'm going to call it defeat. I'm pretty sure I could pick this open. It's just, I'm in like a hunger mood right now where I can't really concentrate. Plus, I probably just need to get good because I can't make excuses of myself forever. But this was, if I can bring up the, again, this was the ThinkPad Mini Dock Series. So I hope everyone watching really, let me go back up to face here. I really hope everyone watching enjoyed this short but sweet episode of Master of Unlocking. I feel like we learned a bunch. It was really fun to reteach kind of wafers again and go through my methodology. And I know that for a show that's called Master of Unlocking, everyone's probably disappointed and probably like, I could pick that in 2 seconds. But anyone who picks locks can tell you that there are days, and I've had these, where I sit down and I can't get any single 4-pin master lock to open. and I'm like too tired and hungry and stressed out and stuff. And because of that, like I have to basically stop, relax, and then I come back like an hour later or even the next day later, and all of a sudden I'm just like I'm just going crazy and I'm just picking every single lock, including and a lot of times I'm picking locks open that I normally really struggle with or I haven't opened before properly, and things like that will happen. So what we're going to do right now to end this stream here, and thank you everyone in chat for watching and enjoying, is we are going to raid someone else's stream. Although, what we're going to do here is right now, everyone that I usually do is not streaming. So instead, what we're going to do, that's an interesting stream, is I'm looking around on Twitch, because that's how the raids work, is on Twitch. And we are going to raid someone else's stream. I'm looking in categories. The first one that I'm looking at here is I'm looking at making and crafting section, because that's normally what we're in, but I figured that since we were working on like an actual laptop piece of equipment, that I would put this in science and technology. So we've been sort of experimenting whether Master of Unlocking more deserves to be in science and technology and thus in engineering, or if it needs to be in making and crafting, because sometimes we're making stuff like last episode I was installing a doorknob. That and here comes the instant reward. That really qualifies, in my opinion, okay, for being in the maker category. But I think we're gonna go with this guy. But with this episode, because we were dealing like a keyboard, even though we weren't dealing with code, I felt that was more science and engineering. Next episode, I really have to debate if we're going to put this in science and technology or in making and crafting. Maybe as you get that instant reward, you can help me figure that out. But I found a stream we're going to raid on Twitch. So thank you everyone for joining us for Master of Unlocking. I know this is kind of an oddball episode, and I'm sorry if you're really looking forward for me to open this, but like I have slight hand jitters right now, and I'm hungry, and I'm sure that I wish there was a category for that. Like I wish there were, honestly, what they really need, unless I can't find it, is they should really have science and technology, making and crafting, and then just one for engineering. Because I know a lot of people who, like, for example, work on like automotive engines, or they build puzzle systems, which I guess you could maybe argue is crafting, or something like that, like more traditional engineering stuff. This more I think would fall under, with all these mechanical moving brass and steel plated parts and things like that. But we're going to go raid this person's stream, and hopefully they will have a rating turned on so that we can do that. But thank you all for following the stream, and thank you, Creatrix, for watching. Again, we are raising funds for, let me just make sure of the audio. Yep. We are raising funds for Child's Play, which is a charity that is run by the Penny Arcade people. All you need to do is donate $1 or $5 to there. I'm going to post the link again in chat. And we also have a little widget on Twitch. If you donate money while we're on stream, because you can donate money when we're gone from the stream. You can donate anytime. And we're trying to raise money for like sick kids and domestically abused people so that their holiday and beginning of 2020 is less miserable. We're going to do this all the way until the day after New Year's Day. And we're hoping to make 300, but we'll see. If you could donate $1 or $5, that would be very much appreciated. If you do donate during the stream, or you follow us, which you can at this time. Remember, you can click that like bell, follow, share, and subscribe on Twitch, D Live, and YouTube, because Facebook is currently down. We will notice those on stream and cheer you on. But even if we're not on here, donate to a charity and follow us on the stream. So we're going to go raid this awesome person if you're on Twitch. So if you're on Twitch, stick around just for that. Thank you for watching this episode of Master of Unlocking. Our final episode for the year will be on December 20th. Which I can guarantee we're actually going to do bypasses, and that will be a really cool stream, and everything will be successful. And also, on December 18th is our meeting. It's our final meeting of the year. We're going to kick off 2020, and we also have a bunch of announcements, including a stream that should be coming up either this Wednesday or Thursday that we hope you check out soon. So anyhow, that was Master of Unlocking. I'm Side Pocket. Please hit that bell, click like, share, subscribe to Twitch. You have the YouTube. Please donate to Child's Play charity. I'll see you all on the 18th, and probably sooner than that. But regardless, hack the planet, Dirty Jersey represent, and hopefully we will deal with this guy again soon. Enjoy the music. Peace.
Inside lane, missing exits, glued to the pavement. Between the lines, I'll keep my gaze straight ahead as the last stop flies by. No more waiting for the gun to